And then from a farming point of view, Arild, what do you think will be, the kind of the big fundamental shifts that stick in the business?
The one thing I know and that I'm probably wrong, because it's so hard to predict now with how the future will look, but with all this uncertainty. But what I'm hoping to see is a bit like we've seen if you look to Asia and saying they are a bit earlier in this pandemic and the different phases. For instance, a market like the Korean market, where the e-commerce has boomed, and now that the restaurants are coming back, to actually have a net growth of the salmon consumption. So that is quite interesting, whether we see that kind of shifts. I'm not as optimistic on the short term. I think I'm a bit concerned on the financial situation in most markets and the impact of the demand side. But there will for sure be innovations that is triggering it, not at least on the food service and the home delivery part. Because one thing is that people and the restaurants are opening up on a lower capacity. But you also have to keep in mind that people, depending on how this pandemic is evolving, but people will still be afraid of getting infected. And one example is, for instance, from comparing Sweden and Denmark, where Denmark had closed basically the opportunity to go to restaurants, and the Swedes kept it open. Still, they both saw the same reduction in the spending in those kind of channels. So it's not just about what is physical open, but also how people are thinking around this. So I do believe that the home consumption will be increasing going forward. And unfortunately, I have to say the food service will probably struggle to come back in the short term.